What does your brother want?
What?
He sent me an email. He asked for my mailing address. What does he want?
I think he wants your mailing address.
Okay. Oh, you know in his act when he calls me his miniature Aunt Sophie?
I do. I do know that.
My friends don't like it.
Okay.
You know why?
What?
Ask me why my friends don't like it when your brother calls me his miniature Aunt Sophie.
Why don't your friends like it when my brother calls you his miniature Aunt Sophie?
'Cause they look up to me.
Nice.
Right? I could be a stand-up comic.
Sure.
Except that I love sitting down.
Okay.
And napping.
Sophie?
If there were an Olympic napping event, I would not only win, I would have to apologize for missing the medal ceremony. You know why?
No, Sophie. Why would you have to apologize for missing the medal ceremony?
Overslept.
Okay.
Did you know Papa?
I barely remember him. Daniel adored him.
Everyone adored him, except your uncle, the professor whom we all hated. It was your father who started that. He always called him our brother-in-law whom we all hate.
I didn't hate him.
Well, that's because you didn't know him very well. And then he died, which came as a great relief to everyone, especially your father, who said that he was the kind of man so self-important, you want to have him cast in bronze immediately and never released.
Is that a Salinger reference?
You know, if I'm being honest, I think I conflate Papa, Paul, and Daniel in my mind.
Your father, your brother, and your nephew.
Is this a pilot episode?
What?
Because unless this is a pilot episode, you don't need to tell me what my relationship is to every person who's mentioned.
Were you always the hippest person in the room?
Not when Papa was around, or Daniel.
Ooh, I'm going to tell him you said that.
Go ahead, I won't deny it. That kid really grew up funny.
Yeah, well, he grew up with Alvy.
Yeah.
I wish I'd had a chance to know him.
You mean when he was little?
Alvy. I didn't really know anything about him until you took me and Daniel to that tribute show at the Lambs Club.
Oh, right. I remember that. You brought your girlfriend.
Wife.
Not yet, she wasn't.
Wow, really? How long ago was that?
You know what? You're too young for the how long agos. You still have to do the how long untils for another 10 years. Then you get to do the how long agos.
Okay.
Then the how many mores.
Didn't you once tell me that life is a long sequence of memories leading up to a porch where you sit in a swing with your first love and discuss the consistency of your stools?
Ha! Ah! God, I love you, kid. Wait a minute. Wait, are you kidding me?
I don't know. Do you not remember saying it?
I didn't say that to you. That's from Felicity and the Tyrant.
Oh.
Right? Felicity's mother says it after the second act monologue.
Yes, I saw it when it was out here at the Amundsen.
I figured you'd read it.
Well, I read it afterwards, but God, it's a really good play. But that line.
I never said it.
So sure.
I remember when I wrote that line, that whole scene. I figured it out as a standalone on the train to DC.
Damn, I was going to ask you if I could use it.
Where?
In my show.
Go ahead.
It's already in your play.
Who cares? Say someone sees your television show and some old broad on the show has that line, right? Most people hear the joke the first time and maybe laugh. 9 people hear the joke and think, Geez, that's a reference to an obscure Sophie Grunman play from a previous millennium. And for just a minute, they get to feel like the hippest person in the room.
It was a really good play.
A multiple award loser.
Okay.
Use the line. I would be honored to be so honored.
That's sweet of you to say.
Only the truth. You're the best of the bunch. You're proof that eventually genius and insanity can breed out the crazy. You shine at the top of our family tree, an internally blazing diamond, purged and reduced to purity and perfection by generations of crazy, brilliant Jews applying intense pressure through the muscles that control their bowels.
Oh, that reminds me. Daniel told me to ask you about Brother Theodore.
Huh?
What?
I can see a connection there. But if you don't know who he was, I don't understand how you made that connection.
Oh, I looked him up. Daniel mentioned him, so I looked him up and I watched a lot of him on YouTube. And then I talked to Daniel about it. He said that I should ask you.
Oh, he wanted me to tell you the story.
There's a story.
Oh, there's a story. So, we're sitting at the callback on 9th Avenue.
Oh, New York.
Yes.
Okay. Who?
Me, Alvy, your uncle professor whom we all hated, Daniel, and Brother Theodore.
So, you okay?
You want to do the pilot episode thing?
Yeah, sure. So, okay. It's you, my uncle, the insipid professor, my brother, Daniel, and a weird performance art comic from Letterman.
Okay, Brother Theodore did Letterman. He wasn't from Letterman.
Okay.
Now, Papa had me put this together because he wants Daniel to meet Theodore. And Teddy only came because I promised him that if Alvy tried to stick him with a check, I would stay and cover it.
Was Papa cheap?
No, but he thought it was hilarious to stick people with the check. Now, right. Professor Insipid has shown up because he's promised to watch Daniel's set that night down the street at the Improv. And just because he built a room onto his house for Alvy to live, he believes he's allowed to insert himself where civilians shouldn't be.
Oh, good God. Okay. 3 comics, you and Uncle Pompous. I'm up to speed and this is already going to...
Right. So it's Daniel being funny. He's in at the Improv, but he hasn't done TV yet, right?
Okay. So what, like early 80s?
Sure. Wait, no. What year did Kinnison do Young Comedians?
Oh, I don't know that.
Well, that had just aired on HBO, so you can look it up later if you want.
Sadly, I probably will.
Oh, Lindsay, my little grunlet. That is not sad. That's beautiful. That's you, curious and brilliant.
Generationally compressed shit, Jim.
Yes. See, it really does wind up with the consistency of the stools.
Okay, Sophie.
Okay. All right. So the conversation's bumping along and the witless professor's driving Papa up the wall. I'm not helping because the angrier that old man got, the funnier he got. Papa does a joke. Daniel caps it. Theodore chuckles and then goes sour for an on-topic prose poem that ends with a startlingly poignant and hilariously dark series of hyper-specific images and unexpected cultural references. Papa's nodding along to the comedic rhythm. I see Daniel dissecting the structures. I'm tossing in straight line punctuation bumps. And then your idiot uncle,
Aye.
yeah, right? Your idiot uncle states with clarity and precision the unspoken premise that made the whole run work.
Todd Waring calls that narrating the joke. It's what civilians do when they think they're bantering.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he plays Lawrence on my show, Served Cold.
I know the name of your show. He's the gay one, right? The dad?
Yeah, yeah.
Based on my brother?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure you knew.
Oh, yeah.
Your mom knows?
Kind of, sometimes.
Okay.
So Daniel and Papa and brother Theodore and you are being Grunmans, and then Uncle Porter kills the flow.
Right. But not just once. This keeps happening. Funny, funny, funny Porter. Funny, funny, funny Porter. And then Daniel starts talking about the craft. Not, here's the thing I wrote, or the insidious lie of, tell me if this is funny.
You really can just speak in clean, polished dialogue when you want to, can't you?
Yes, it's one of my attributes. So Daniel starts to tell Papa about he's trying to write more and more honest jokes, but the guys who are making it all seem to have a clear persona that sells the jokes, but also seems to be more about the selling than about the jokes. Papa lights up with pride. Theodore leans in and says, you are Alvy's grandson. You never need to sell anything. When your grandfather... And then Porter leaned in, interrupted the man Papa had brought his protege to meet. He leans in, does this professorial in-breath, that says, my thought is worth your full attention now. And he says, what you're describing is a marketing hook. Now, I don't know what kind of show this fellow does, but he calls himself Brother Theodore, right? I'm sure there's a persona that goes with that, around which his jokes revolve. So that's his hook as a comic. Papa started to speak, right? And his eyes told me he had a line ready, but Theodore held up a finger. Not a big gesture, just his hand on the table, his index finger went rigid, and Papa held the razor under his tongue. Theodore slipped into his stage self, his intense, seething rage, barely contained by the clench of his scalp. He leaned toward my pompous professor-in-law, whom I was just learning to properly loathe, and he said, I am a German expressionist linguistic performer. I do not have a hook. I do not have a persona. I create hostile brushstrokes from the pigment of pure intellect, or if the moon waxes and the clouds part, intellectual brushstrokes from the pigment of pure hostility. If you ever wish to analyze the minutiae of my act, you may have the Student Activities Committee from whatever collegiate institution you have crawled here from in your tweed-breasted, double-bellied suit vest and pay me my rate to observe my work, and a bit more to sit and discuss it humorously afterward. When you come to Hell's Kitchen to sit with me, to sit with Alvy and Sophie and Daniel Grunman, this sharp young man who represents the next generation's hope for psychic survival in a clearly psychotic universe, you sit like the good student we all know you always were. And if you're lucky, if you're very, very lucky, when you go to see your nephew work at the Improv tonight, you will get about a third of the genius of what he's doing. Plus, you may get to see Uncle Dirty.
Uncle Dirty?
That's what the professor said. Only he said it with a department meeting sneer of distaste. And Theodore said, he's a genius with an act firmly rooted in Kafka. Why, that you have to ask indicates a woefully embarrassing gap in your education.
And now I have more research to do.
So there's this silence. Porter suddenly looks like his wool suit has been saving up all its itchiness for this moment, but he's too well-mannered to scratch. He has the look a dog gets when you catch it playing with your dildo. And using it correctly.
Wow, this took a turn.
Sorry, I'm almost there. So it's this embarrassed silence. It's like this poor schlub has just shrunk 3 sizes, so his ascot threatens to overwhelm him.
He wore an ascot.
To see his nephew at a comedy show. There were so many reasons to hate this guy. And Daniel looks down into his coffee and mutters, one day Gregor awoke to find he was an associate professor.
Wait, how old was he?
Don't get ahead of me. Theodore puts tea through his nose. I can't stop laughing. The professor is clearly hurt and confused and says he'll head over to the club and get his ticket and see Daniel in a bit.
Sure. It's probably a wise retreat.
Now, we can all see that Daniel feels terrible. We think it's because he's hurt his uncle's feelings. We're all consoling him. Finally, he just flips out like the 19-year-old he is. He tells us we're all stupid, that he's a fake, that he would expect us to be able to see through him. He said he could only do that joke because he had seen Gilbert Gottfried do a Gregory woke up joke and then gone to the New York Library to look up the proper quotation, learn what it was about. He read Metamorphosis, reverse engineering a joke he had seen, recycled the premise in context, and he was tormented by it. To him, it was pure theft. He was certain it meant he wasn't really witty or funny.
Yeah, that sounds like Daniel.
Papa laughed at him. Brother Theodore's eyes were literally welling up. And Papa said, it's okay, Daniel. You're doing fine. You're a funny boy. And Daniel rankled and he said, I am a man, Papa. And your grandfather said, you're not that funny.
That was good.
Right?
I feel like I just learned who they both were.
That's probably why he wanted me to tell you. All right, why does Daniel want my mailing address?
He wants to mail you something.
Yeah, thanks. What does your brother want to mail me, Lindsay?
$180.
Oh.
Apparently he borrowed it from you in $20 increments one summer.
Yes, okay, I know what it is. Shit, I'll get on the phone to him.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Is he okay?
He's great. He's fine.
Are you sure?
He's making a living. I talk to him every day.
It makes me nervous when comics start paying off debts.
I don't know what that means.
It's fine. It's probably fine.
Okay.
I'll talk to him.
Okay.
Love you, kid.
Love you, kid.
Narrating the joke.
Right?
Can I use it?
You'd have to ask Todd.
He's good on your show.
Right.
Can you get me his number?
I can get him yours. Where are you going to use it?
Started a play. I think it might fit.
Can I read it?
Not yet.
Okay. Stay away from viruses and Nazis, Sophie.
Oh, and you stay clear of rioting Buffalo furry cosplay seditionists.
We live in weird times.
We really do.